Klal Yisrael always is trying to strengthen themselves in the midah of Bitachon. Strengthening a midah of Bitachon, Emunah. We know that there are many challenges that come up that make it hard for us to go and always have the right amount of Bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One thing is for sure, is that we always try to make our Ishtadlus. Every year it always tries to make Ishtadlus to fill in what he needs to be filled in, and hope that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will continue to provide whatever he needs. But Ishtadlus we always need. The question is there any more room besides for Ishtadlus that a person can go and strengthen themselves in the midah of Bitachon, in the midah of strengthening their Amunah and Bitachon and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I saw a wonderful story that gives us a little bit of an insight into how much we can really strengthen ourselves in Amunah and Bitachon. There was a big gadol who lived in Eretz Yisrael. His name was Rav Yosef Zundel from Salant. He was from the Talmidim of Talmidei Hagra. From the Vilna Gaon's Talmidim, he was from the big ones. And he came to Eretz Yisrael. When he came to Eretz Yisrael, he had a daughter that still had not been married. She didn't find the shidduch, she didn't find the right chosin yet. But he made, of course, a lot of ishtadlus, and still nothing was going. Then he realized, he says, you see, after you make ishtadlus, there's one thing that we all have to remember, and that is that we're putting all of our hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We know that nobody else can help us except for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We believe that only Hashem, He can give us, He can provide us with this chosin. So he knew that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to help him so much, and that was his belief. He said to himself, the next boat that comes to Eretz Yisrael, I'm going to go wait over there, and when I see the first bocher, I'm going to ask him if he wants to marry my daughter, and he's going to be the one that's going to marry her. And of course, he went to the port, and he waited for the next boat, and the next boat came, and off comes a nice young boy. Didn't exactly look like somebody he was going to choose for a son-in-law. He was wearing a white hat, a white suit, looked a little bit different than the other yeshiva bochum that he was looking for. And he said to him, you want to marry my daughter? And he said, why not? Okay. He explained to him where to meet, where the shidduch was going to take place. And basically he closed the shidduch. He knew that this was the person who was going to marry his daughter. He came to the house with this wonderful, nice new chassin, and his daughter and his wife. They look and they see who he brought in, and he said, wow, they made it look like today was Tisha B'Av. They were so sad. They saw somebody who looked like a businessman, and Rabbi Salant even asked him, he said, wait a second, do you do anything? Do you learn? Do you work? He said, I do a little bit of business. But he had so much bitachon that Kodesh Baruch Hu was going to provide him the right one. It didn't matter. So even though the house looked like Tisha B'Av, he told him, don't worry, I'm going to learn with him. He'll be okay. He'll be a good chassin. And of course, they got married. And sometime later, there was a tremendous question that came up in halacha amongst all the rabbonim in Yerushalayim. This question that came up was being discussed by all the gedolim. And they had different opinions from here, from there. Everyone had a different opinion, and they didn't come with a clear answer. When this chassin, whose name was Rabbi Nosson Naktkin, he thought to himself, you know what, I think I know the answer, and he approached these rabbanim, and he told them a whole pilpul, he told them a whole story in halacha, how to go and come out with a yishuv, with an answer to go and answer up this question that was bothering all the gedolim at that time. And they looked at him and they said, how did you know? How did you, we thought you were a very simple person, how did you know all this? And he said to them, I heard my grandfather once say this. And they asked him, who's your grandfather? And he told them, my grandfather was the Shagas Aryeh, one of the great gedolim a few hundred years ago, a very famous sefer, a very famous gadol. And he once heard his grandfather say such an answer, and that's what he remembered, and he explained it so nicely. Right away, Rav Yosef from Salant, he looked and he said, there's no doubt that this was going to happen. I knew that this boy was really a big Talmud Chacham and a big Onav. Even though he looked like he wasn't exactly the person who was fit to be my son-in-law from the appearance, walking around with a white suit and a white hat. But he said, I knew that he was the right one because I put all my belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I put all my belief, I knew that there was no more room for Ishtablos. Hashem, you are the only one who can save me. You are the only one who can provide us this chassin. You are the only one who can help us in this situation. and I knew that when I put all of my hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for sure HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to provide me with the right chassan. And no matter how he looked, no matter what it was, Hashem saw how much I was ready to believe in every step that was coming along the way, and therefore He provided me exactly with what I was looking for. And that's a great lesson, a great story for us to remember and to take chizuk in, that whatever the challenge may be, in Bitachon, whenever we think that we did too much hishtadlus, we tried already with this, we have to remember the greatest level is to say that, you know what, we're putting all our hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're putting all the hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who's going to help us, and the only one who can provide, and the only one who can save us. Be'ezus Hashem, we should all be zoiche to be mechazek in emunah and bitachon, especially in the hard times that Klal Yisrael is facing. We should be mechazek in emunah and bitachon that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the only one, and He is the one who is always saving us and always will save us, and He is the one who will always provide for us tremendous amount of simcha, joy, nachas, and bracha. Kol Tov.